Chapter 22-26, Two Inheritances. Heaven Dao Cliff was so angry that he almost collapsed. Where did this monster come from? She was really too abnormal. If he had known that she was so abnormal, he wouldn't have passed the inheritance to her. Why did he have to kill her? Although she killed that poisonous flower, she was even more poisonous than that poisonous flower. You, what benefits do you want? Tian Daoya gnashed his teeth and said, with your poor appearance, what benefits can I ask you for? Besides, I'm not a greedy person. How about this? You pass on to me all the inheritances related to alchemy, talisman, array formation, beast taming, weapon refining, and the cultivation of heavenly thunder spirit root. I'm not greedy. The cliff of Tian Dao trembled with anger. You're really shameless. How could you not be greedy? Alchemy, talismans, array formations, beast taming, weapon refining, heavenly thunder spirit root cultivation inheritances? Tell me, other than these, what other inheritances are there? Tian Dao Cliff finally calmed down. He resisted the urge to strangle Yun Chujio and said, each person can only receive one inheritance. You can only choose one. One inheritance? Are you kidding me? Since you're so unethical, there's nothing more to say. I think it's better for me to let you become Wang Baya to vent your anger. Wang Baya, hee, isn't it very interesting? Yun Chujio bared her little white teeth and said, interesting? Interesting, your big head ghost. You're a pervert. You're a monster. No wonder it was the heavenly thunder spirit root that the heavenly Dao couldn't tolerate. It was indeed a bastard who bullied the cliff. Sobsubi, wasn't that Trash's 9e netherworld flower very cocky? How did it end up being killed by this smelly girl? And it was the kind that was completely dead, Trash. The heavenly Dao Cliff cursed Yun Chujio in its heart a few hundred times. However, when it thought about how the dignified heavenly Dao Cliff was scolded as a Wang Baya, it was really too embarrassing. It could only clench its teeth and say, at most 2 inheritances. If you are not satisfied, if you are willing to curse, then go ahead. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. She knew that this was the bottom line of the heavenly Dao Cliff, but how could it be so easy? 2 inheritances were fine, but there were additional conditions. Sigh. I'm the softest person. Since you've said so, I can't make things too difficult for you. 2 inheritances is fine. Give me a heavenly thunder spirit root immortal level cultivation technique, and give me a talisman immortal level inheritance. This matter will be settled, and I won't pursue the matter anymore. Yun Chujio sighed and said. Tian Dao Cliff didn't say anything for a long time because he was so angry that he was speechless. You really dare to ask for it? 2 immortal rank inheritances? Why don't you go and snatch it? Hey, are you silently protesting or acquiescing by not saying anything? If you don't give me an answer, I won't give you a chance. Wang Baya, hee, just thinking about it is interesting. It will definitely spread throughout the entire immortal origin continent. Threat. This was a blatant threat. Tian Daoya was terrified. It squeezed out 4 words from between its teeth. I promise you. Yun Chujio pouted. Why didn't you agree earlier? You wasted so much time. Send us up quickly and give me the inheritance. If you dare to lie to me, I won't kill you. The heavenly Dao Cliff had no choice but to send the 3 of them to the open space opposite the heavenly Dao Cliff. A thought flashed through the heavenly Dao Cliff's mind. It wanted to throw Yun Chujio to her death, but if it thought that it could throw her to her death, then it would be fine. If it couldn't, then this wretched girl would never stop. It was better to forget about it. Chapter 22-27. The heavenly Dao Cliff's wishful thinking. Yun Chujio looked at the time. It was already 3 in the morning. She blinked her eyes and said, Brother Wuji, go and find Teacher Pang. Tell him that after you and Sister Jinji jumped down, you discovered that I was at the bottom of the valley accepting the inheritance of the heavenly Dao Cliff. Then, the heavenly Dao Cliff felt that I was shocked, so they compensated me with another inheritance. This not only explains why we are safe and sound, but also proves that I passed the assessment that day. Shui Wuji nodded and left the empty space to look for Teacher Pang. Yun Chujio then said to Tian Daoya, hurry up, don't dawdle. Give me the inheritance. Tian Daoya agreed. After Yun Chujio meditated, he turned an inheritance into a white light and shot it into Yun Chujio's glabella. Before Yun Chujio could finish receiving the inheritance, Tian Daoya also shot another inheritance into Yun Chujio's glabella. The Heavenly Dao Cliff had its own little scheme. It was just a small matter. They couldn't harm you in the open and just do it in the dark. If they were to give you 2 inheritances at once, would your spiritual sense be able to take it? It would be better if they were to explode this little brat's spiritual sense. The more the Heavenly Dao Cliff thought about it, the more pleased it became. Even the cliff started to tremble slightly. It was already imagining Yun Chujio rolling around on the ground in pain due to the intense pain of her spiritual sense. However, nearly an hour had passed, and Yun Chujio was still calmly receiving the inheritance. It did not look like her spiritual sense was in pain at all. The Heaven Dao Cliff was so angry that it gritted its teeth. Receiving 2 heaven rank inheritances in one go and being fine, this was a freak. It wanted to play dirty, but now that both inheritances had been received by Yun Chujio, it had no other choice but to stare at her angrily. While Yun Chujio was accepting the inheritances, Xue Wuji had already arrived at the central area of the Xingtian Academy. He was very puzzled. Along the way, apart from a few odd job workers, he didn't meet any students or teachers. He could only find an odd job worker and ask, "May I ask where Teacher Pang is now?" The odd job worker looked at him strangely. "You are a student of the Xingtian Academy?" Xue Wuji's heart skipped a beat. He nodded. "Yes, I was injured a few days ago. I was in a coma for a few days." "Where did he go?" "I see. Today is the official opening day of Xingtian Academy. Everyone is attending the opening ceremony at the Divine Axe Square. You should hurry over," the handyman said enthusiastically. Xue Wuji thanked the handyman and ran toward the Divine Axe Square. The opening ceremony. The timing was just right, which meant that the class had not started yet. There should still be time. Xue Wuji could see that the Divine Axe Square was densely packed with people from afar. It was likely that all the students would start their classes at this time. On the high platform, an old man was chattering away. It was nothing more than a set of pleasantries. When Xue Wuji was looking around, the instructors with profound cultivation in the square noticed him. They all looked at Xue Wuji with sharp eyes. Teacher Pang and the others who were participating in the freshman test were immediately stunned when they saw Xue Wuji. Isn't this the Xue Wuji who jumped off the cliff? Why isn't he dead? Teacher Pang and the others thought that they were hallucinating. They rubbed their eyes and looked closely. It was indeed that Xue Wuji. Coincidentally, the opening ceremony was coming to an end. Teacher Pang said a few words to an elder beside him before hurriedly walking towards Xue Wuji. "Xue Wuji, how did you come up from the depths of hell? How are Mo Fangchao and Jinji?" Teacher Pang asked anxiously. Chapter 22-28, Interrogation. Xue Wuji bowed to Teacher Pang, then he said, "Teacher Pang, after Jinji and I jumped into the deep valley that day, we realized that it was forbidden to fly down there. Fortunately, we were quick-witted and stabbed the sword into the stone wall beside us, slowing down the speed of our descent. That was how we managed to save our lives. After we landed on the ground, we realized that little Sister Jiao was meditating. It turned out that she had fallen into the deep valley after receiving an inheritance. It's possible that she was protected by the Heavenly Dao Cliff, so she wasn't injured." Xue Wuji gave a simple explanation based on what Yun Chujio had taught him. "It's great that both of you are fine. What about Jinji and Mo Fangchao Rin? After we were teleported up by the Heavenly Dao Cliff, it's possible that the Heavenly Dao Cliff felt that they owed little Sister Jiao something, so they passed on another inheritance to her. She's currently receiving the inheritance, and Jinji is protecting her." Xue Wuji lied through his teeth. Teacher Pang was both shocked and excited. 2 inheritances? Heavens! This heavenly spirit root is indeed extraordinary. They actually obtained 2 inheritances. Teacher Pang felt that this matter was of great importance. Coincidentally, the opening ceremony had just ended, so he reported this matter to Dean Gongsun of the Sky Punisher Academy. Dean Gongsun and the others were also shocked when they heard this. Didn't they say that each person could only obtain one heavenly Dao Cliff's inheritance? How did this Mo Fangchao obtain 2 inheritances? Thus, the dean, teacher, and the others followed Xue Wuji to the heavenly Dao Cliff. When they arrived at the heavenly Dao Cliff, they saw a little girl sitting cross-legged on the ground and meditating. Beside her stood a girl. It was the same Jin Ji who had jumped off the cliff with Xue Wuji that day. Naturally, they didn't want to disturb Yun Chujio while she was receiving the inheritance. Thus, they called Xue Wuji and Jin Ji to the side and carefully asked about what had happened. What's the situation at the bottom of this deep valley? Dean Gongsun asked. There's a thick layer of white bones on the ground below. There are cultivators and demon beasts. In addition, there's a large area of bare land. It seems that plants once grew on it. In addition, we also found a cave, but it was empty. There was only a dry pool, nothing else, Xue Wuji replied respectfully. After hearing Xue Wuji's words, everyone immediately began to discuss. If it was only a flight ban, then since these 2 students were able to safely land, those mighty figures should have no problems. Then why did they die? It's possible that there were powerful demonic beasts in that cave. Those cultivators and demonic beasts were killed by it. It's likely that their souls were scattered for some unknown reason. I actually think that this problem might have appeared on the exposed land. Perhaps demonic plants once grew there. Although the discussion was very lively, no one wanted to go down and take a look. What a joke! If they were unlucky and really fell to their deaths, wouldn't they be extremely unlucky? However, there were also different voices saying, this Mo Fangchao said that she obtained 2 inheritances. This claim is without proof. How can she prove it? Perhaps she made it up to obtain the qualifications to enter the school. That's right. This matter is too strange. She obtained 2 inheritances at the same time? How is this possible? I feel that this little girl is most likely lying. Teacher Pang felt that Yun Chujio would not lie, so he said in a deep voice, how would a little girl like her dare to tell such a big lie? When she finishes her inheritance, we will interrogate her and find out. Chapter 22-29 was still not accepted after a short while. Yun Chujio opened her eyes. Then, everyone discovered that the spiritual power in her body had started to soar from the 6th level of the spiritual venerable realm. 7th level, 8th level, 9th level of the spiritual venerable realm. It was only until the 1st level of the spiritual profound realm that it stopped rising. Everyone was dumbstruck. This time, there was no need to interrogate her. This must be the truth. Other than the reason of obtaining the inheritance, there was no way to explain the reason for the soaring spiritual power of this ink-fragrant grass. Oh my God! It soared by 4 levels in an instant. This ink-fragrant grass was really a stray dog. Shit. Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. Did she reply this time? Fuck, if it wasn't for pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, this old woman would have directly adjusted her spiritual power to the 4th level of the spiritual profound realm, scaring all of you to death. Although Yun Chujio thought so in her heart, she revealed a blank expression on her face, and then a pleasantly surprised expression. When everyone saw Yun Chujio like this, the last bit of doubt disappeared. Teacher Pang asked Yun Chujio about the incident again, and it was exactly the same as what Xue Wuji had said. Cough, cough, the 2 of them had already discussed it, so it was naturally not the slightest bit off. Now, the question was, did Yun Chujio and the other 2 manage to get into the Sky Punisher Academy or not? The teachers had another round of tit-for-tat debates. Some of them believed that Yun Chujio and the other 2 had not completed the test and could not be admitted. Some of them believed that Yun Chujio and the other 2 had already accepted the inheritance and that falling off the cliff was an accident. They should be considered to have passed the test. Both parties were arguing until their faces turned red. Yun Chujio lowered her head and listened quietly. This fellow was extremely certain that they would be accepted, unless the teachers of the Heaven Punisher Academy had water in their heads. The 3 of them had gotten into trouble in the Heaven Punisher Academy's territory. If they were rejected just like that, the reputation of the Heaven Punisher Academy would be lost. Furthermore, Xue Wuji had a mutated wind spirit root and had obtained a heaven rank high-grade inheritance. His future was limitless. Although Yun Chujio had a heavenly thunder spirit root that was not tolerated by the Heaven Dao, she had obtained 2 inheritances at once. Therefore, her future development was uncertain. She might be killed by the Heaven Dao, or she might soar to the sky. Although Jin Ji did not have anything special about her, she was with Yun Chujio and Xue Wuji. If she wanted to be accepted, she would naturally be accepted together. As expected, while both sides were arguing, Dean Gongsun and the other vice deans discussed. He coughed and said, Mo Fangchao and the other 2 met with an accident in our Sky Punisher Academy, so the responsibility is not on them. Moreover, they all received the inheritance of the Heavenly Dao Cliff at the stipulated time, so we decided to officially accept the 3 of them as students of the Sky Punisher Academy. Dean Gongsun made the decision, and those who originally opposed it couldn't say anything more. All of them quieted down. Yun Chujio, this fellow, recorded all those who opposed their acceptance into Xiao Hei's account book. She was just waiting. In the future, it would be fine if they didn't provoke her, but if they provoked her again, then both old and new debts would be settled. At this moment, Teacher Pang asked Yun Chujio, Mo Fangchao, what inheritance did you receive? One is a heaven-rank high-grade heavenly thunder spirit root cultivation technique, and the other is an earth-rank mid-grade talisman inheritance. However, I didn't really understand it, I just memorized it. Yun Chujio wasn't stupid enough to say that she had received 2 immortal rank inheritances. A bird that stood out would be shot. Keeping a low profile was the way of the king. It didn't matter if the heavenly thunder spirit root cultivation technique was a little higher. After all, it was useless for others to go. The inheritance of talisman cannot be said to be too high, otherwise it's easy to be coveted. Chapter 2230 was despised as expected. When everyone heard what Yun Chujio said, they immediately lost interest. After all, none of them had heavenly lightning spirit roots. As for the earth-grade middle-grade talisman inheritance, it wasn't anything special. It was probably the Heavenly Dao Cliff's compensation to her, so this grade was very average. Everyone asked a few more questions, and Yun Chujio answered them truthfully. Dean Gongsun saw that there were no objections, so he said to an old man with a goatee, Instructor Tian, you are the chief instructor of the 1st grade. I'll leave these 3 students to you. Dean Gongsun turned around and left Tiandao Cliff. The other instructors also had their own matters to attend to, so they all left. In the end, only Instructor Tian and the 3 first-grade instructors were left. Teacher Tian glanced at Yun Chujio and the other 2, then looked at the 3 teachers. Which one of you is willing to accept these 3 students? One of the bald teachers said, the students in our day class are the best. Only that Xue Wuji is passable. I'll take him. As for the other 2, forget it. The other thin and tall teacher smiled and said, Teacher Zheng, there are many talented students in your class. Give this Xue Wuji to our month class. The bald teacher Zheng curled his lips and said, Old you, since you said so, then I'll give this Xue Wuji to you. However, I have to remind you that although he has a mutated wind spirit root, his starting point is too low. He won't be able to catch up with the students of our class of the day in less than 3 to 5 years. Teacher, you said with a slightly ingratiating tone, that's right. How can the class of the day be compared to the class of the month and the class of the stars? Teacher Dong, don't you agree? When a skinny man heard Teacher Yes question, he snorted coldly, why should all the good things be taken by the 2 of you? You took away the good ones and left me with 2 good-for-nothings? If you want them all, you have to go. Otherwise, don't take any of them. The moon class Teacher Yes expression also became a little ugly. Teacher Dong, you don't have to be so sarcastic. The academy has arranged for you to be in charge of the star class. If you have any grievances, go look for the dean. Besides, Xue Wuji's aptitude is already better than the other 2. So what if our moon class wants him? Those 2 good-for-nothings should have belonged to your star class. Don't try to be a good-for-nothing. Don't think that I don't know how you became the teacher of the last moon class. Dong Hanyuan, you're slandering me. Yun Chujio watched coldly from the side. None of the three instructors were good teachers. Chief Instructor Tian didn't look like a good person either. The days in Xingtian Academy must be very interesting. Yun Chujio winked at Xue Wuji. Xue Wuji coughed dryly and said, "Two instructors, the three of us want to be in the same class. Whichever instructor agrees to accept the three of us, he'll go to that class." Teacher Yu from the Moon class frowned. "Xue Wuji, your aptitude is much better than the two of them. Don't ruin your future." Teacher Dong from the Star class said smugly, "Teacher Yu, don't waste your breath. The three of them are friends who have gone through life and death together. Naturally, they won't be separated. If you can't accept all of them, these three will belong to the Star class." Teacher Yu thought for a moment and felt that it wasn't worth it to accept two more trash because of Xue Wuji. Thus, he sighed and said to Xue Wuji, "The atmosphere in these different classes is very different. You'll definitely regret it. You're really acting on impulse." Xue Wuji smiled and didn't say anything. So what if it was the day class or the month class? Gold would shine wherever it went. Just wait and see. Seeing that the matter had been settled, Teacher Tian did not say anything and just left. Chapter 2231 was probably because of love. Teacher Zheng from the day class and Teacher Yu from the month class also left, leaving only Yun Chujio, Jin Ji, and Teacher Dong. Teacher Dong looked at Yun Chujio and Jin Ji with disdain, then smiled and said to Xue Wuji, "Xue Wuji, your talent is not bad. When the time comes, the face of our Star class will depend on you." Xue Wuji was extremely disgusted by his snobbish eyes. He said slightly coldly, "Teacher Dong, I will do my best." Seeing Xue Wuji's cold attitude, Teacher Dong was a little unhappy. This Xue Wuji was really not up to the mark. Did he really think that he was amazing? Although his aptitude was not bad, wasn't he still only at the first level of the Ling Xian realm? He didn't even see his spiritual power breakthrough after obtaining the heaven rank cultivation technique, so why was he showing off? When Teacher Dong thought of this, his attitude turned cold. "It's good that you know. You can go to the school's general affairs office to collect your items. If you don't understand, ask the other students. I have a lot of things to do, so don't come and disturb me if you have nothing to do." After Teacher Dong finished speaking, he didn't care whether Yun Chujio and the other two understood or not, and directly left. "Pooey! What the hell? Little Jio, did we choose the wrong Xingtian Academy? The teachers in this academy are much worse than those in Tianyuan Academy. All of them are snobbish." Jin Ji said indignantly. Yun Chujio was about to speak when she realized that the voice transmission talisman in her storage ring started to vibrate. Enfeng slapped his thigh. Oh no, he forgot to inform Enfeng and the pretty boy that she was out of danger. Yun Chujio took a look and saw that it was indeed Di Baiming and Enfeng who had sent her the voice transmission talisman. Just as Yun Chujio was about to reply, she noticed that Jin Ji had also taken out a voice transmission talisman. Her face was still a little unnatural. Yun Chujio immediately understood and said with a smile, "Beauty Jin Ji, did the little madman send you the voice transmission talisman?" Jin Ji's face immediately turned red from the pain. She stammered, "He must have noticed that you didn't reply, so he sent it to me." Yun Chujio covered her mouth. "Beauty Jin Ji, do you know what it means to have no silver in this place? A gentleman would like to meet a lady. What's there to be embarrassed about? You can chat with the little lunatic. He'll have a few words with my gigolo." After Yun Chujio finished speaking, she took out Di Baiming's voice transmission talisman. As expected, Di Baiming's anxious voice came from it. "Little Jio, how are you? Wait for me. He'll be able to reach Xingtian Academy in 5 days at most." Yun Chujio took out the other voice transmission talismans. The general content was almost the same. They were all concerned about her safety. "Prince Charming, I'm already fine. Black Rooster's head and Jin Ji are also fine. Furthermore, I've obtained 2 heaven rank inheritances. Didn't I tell you that he'll be fine? Don't worry about me next time. You don't have to come to Xingtian Academy either. Go and do your thing." Come and see me after you're done. After a short while, the voice transmission talisman started to vibrate. D. Biming's hoarse voice came from within. Although you said that you'll be fine, how can I not worry about you? Wait for me, you'll be there in 2 days. Don't. It's better for you not to come. Firstly, you have a lot of things to do. Secondly, the Heaven Punisher Academy isn't like the MO family. It's heavily guarded and you won't be able to see me even if you come. It's better to wait for me to rest, you can come again. Although Yun Chujio really wanted to see D. Biming, but she still rejected him against her heart. This fellow couldn't help but laugh at herself. She had always been the one who did whatever she wanted, but now she had learned to think for others, and she was even willing to do it. This was probably because of love. Chapter 2232. Very soon, D. Biming's voice transmission talisman started to vibrate again. For some reason, Yun Chujio's heart was beating very fast. She used her divine sense to probe into the voice transmission talisman. D. Biming's hoarse voice came from within. It's all right. A Xingtian Academy can't stop me. Wait for me. Yun Chujio's heart was beating even faster. Her face couldn't help but turn red. If D. Biming didn't follow her words, she wouldn't be able to say anything either. However, she would definitely feel a little disappointed in her heart. She didn't expect D. Biming to insist on coming over to see her, and a hint of sweetness welled up in her heart. At this time, this fellow fully understood one sentence, which was that he said he didn't want it, but in fact, he wanted it very much in his heart. To put it crudely, he just didn't mean it. Shui Wuji saw that Yun Chujio and Jin Ji's faces were all red, and he couldn't help but feel a little sour in his heart. They were all in pairs, and only this young master was alone. He did not know where that female pervert had gone to hide. Pooey! Why would I think of that female pervert? I must have not rested well these few days, so my brain is not working properly. It must be like this. Although that female pervert was good-looking and had a special personality, so what? I just don't like her. Yes, I just don't like her. After Yun Chujio put away the voice transmission talisman, she saw Jin Ji staring blankly with a blushing face while holding the voice transmission talisman. Strangely, Shui Wuji was also staring blankly with a blushing face. Hey, Brother Wuji, I'm sorry about the voice transmission talisman sent by Beauty Jin Ji and Feng. Why are you blushing? What did you think of? Yun Chujio teased. Little sister Jio, what nonsense are you talking about? I was just thinking about how those snobbish teachers were angry just now. What else could I be thinking about? Shui Wuji defended himself. Yun Chujio curled her lips. This was clearly a cover-up, so she didn't point it out. Instead, she said to Jin Ji, Beauty Jin Ji, didn't you just ask me if we chose the wrong Xingtian Academy? Let me tell you, it's endless fun to fight with others. Only with a stumbling block can we walk more steadily. Moreover, I don't think the instructors here are all bad. I think that Teacher Pang and Teacher Wen are pretty good. As for Dean Gongsun and the other vice principals, we'll have to wait and see. Moreover, there's no need to leave a master here. There's a place for a master. At worst, we'll just drop out of school. Relax. Tieste, when I think of the scum I'll meet in the future, my blood is boiling. They are all stepping stones on our way forward. Shui Wuji and Jin Ji were not people who would stop. When they heard Yun Chujio's words, they became excited. They felt that their days in the future would be extremely exciting. Just as the three of them were wondering where the miscellaneous office was, a person walked over from afar. It was Mo Fongbing. Just now, when Shui Wuji went to look for Teacher Pang, Mo Fongbing also saw him. Although she felt that she had done the right thing, she still felt a little embarrassed. After hesitating for a long time, she finally mustered up the courage to come and look for Yun Chujio and the other two. Yun Chujio was very shrewd, so she naturally knew what Mo Fongbing was thinking. She warmly waved her hand at Mo Fongbing. Sister Fongbing, you came at the right time. We were worried that our eyes would be blinded. Quickly tell us what you know and bring us to the General Affairs Office. Mo Fongbing saw that Yun Chujio said so and her attitude was so natural, so she relaxed a lot. her expression also became more natural. The first grade is divided into 3 classes. The day class is the best, the month class is the second, and the star class that we are in is the worst. Chapter 2233 Admission Materials. The reason why Mo Fangbing knew that Yun Chujio and the other 2 were also assigned to the class of stars was because someone asked Teacher Yu of the class of moon, and she happened to hear it. Yun Chujio nodded. Sister Fangbing, we know about this. Is there anything else that we should pay attention to? The most important thing is to remember the content of the Academy's code. If you commit a crime, the corresponding points will be deducted. The initial points for US freshmen are only 100 points. If we are deducted as negative points, we will be expelled from school, Mo Fangbing said seriously. Then how can we increase the points? Yun Chujio was still thinking about those spiritual fruits. Once she earned enough points, she could pick the fruits. The top few in each test will be rewarded with corresponding points. In addition, those who contribute to the Academy will also be rewarded with corresponding points. However, in general, it's not easy to get points. Therefore, memorizing the Academy's rules is a top priority. Don't lose points. Mo Fangbing and the others had come to Xingtian Academy to report yesterday, so they were still familiar with some basic information. Contribute to the Academy? Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and had an idea in her mind. Sister Fangbing, which department is in charge of the points? Lend me your Academy's rules. The reward and punishment of the points go to the law enforcement department. Fengxiao, why are you asking about this? Although Mo Fangbing did not understand, she still handed the Academy's Relesto Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio took the Academy's rules and flipped through it. Then she handed it back to Mo Fangbing. I'm just curious. Let's go to the General Affairs office to get the admission materials now. Mo Fangbing saw that Yun Chujio was unwilling to say, so she did not ask further. She led the 3 of them to the General Affairs office. The 4 of them walked for almost an hour before they arrived at the General Affairs office. Perhaps because the school had just started, the General Affairs office was bustling with activity. After waiting for a long time, it was finally Yun Chujio's turn. Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Teacher, we are here to collect the admission materials." The teacher raised his head and glanced at Yun Chujio. He pulled a long face and asked, "Which class are you from? What's your name? Why didn't you come yesterday?" Star class, Shui Wuji, Jin Ji, and Yun Chujio. The long-faced instructor was stunned at first, then pursed his lips and said, "So it's the 3 of you. No wonder your spiritual power is so low. I guess the odd job workers here have higher spiritual power than you. You're really 3 pieces of trash." Shui Wuji had been holding in his anger for a long time. Hearing his words, he couldn't bear it anymore and said gloomily, "What did you say? Say it again." When the horse-faced teacher saw that Shui Wuji's eyes were filled with killing intent, he could not help but take 2 steps back. When he came to his senses, he immediately became angry from embarrassment. "Shui Wuji, what kind of attitude is this? I want to report you to the law enforcement department. You are disrespectful to the teacher. Just wait for your points to be deducted." Yun Chujio tugged at Shui Wuji, signaling him not to be rash. Shui Wuji snorted coldly. It was not easy for him to suppress the anger in his heart. When the long-faced teacher saw this, he felt that Yun Chujio and the others were frightened. He curled his lips and said, "A good-for-nothing should have the self-awareness of a good-for-nothing. You still want to talk back to your teacher? I think you want to be expelled." Shui Wuji's hands were cracking. If it were not for Yun Chujio's wink, he would definitely beat up this snobbish teacher. The long-faced teacher said a few sarcastic words, but when he saw that Yun Chujio and the others didn't respond. Then, he curled his lips and took out 4 sets of supplies and threw them on the table. "Your supplies, hurry up and leave after you get them. You guys are simply embarrassing our Xingtian Academy." Chapter 2234 Yun Chujio looked at the materials on the table. According to Mo Fangbing, there was an identity jade token, 2 sets of Xingtian Academy's student uniforms, a copy of the Academy's rules, and a dormitory jade token among the materials. Although the materials on the table were all the same, the student uniforms were covered in dust. The academy's rules were rolled up, and although the dormitory jade token was good, but the dormitory allocated to them was probably the worst. "Teacher, can you change these clothes and the handbook for us?" Yun Chujio asked with a frown. The long-faced teacher pouted. "Do you think beggars are rotten? If you don't want it, then don't. You guys are lucky to have been accepted, but now you're still picky. You're really overestimating yourself." "Teacher, I'll ask you again. Can you change?" Yun Chujio asked calmly. "Are you fucking deaf? If I say you can't change, then don't." The long-faced teacher's words came to an abrupt end and was replaced by his screams. When everyone came to their senses, they saw that the long-faced teacher was pressed onto the table by Shui Wuji and Jin Ji. Yun Chujio slapped him in the face, and even his back teeth were knocked away. The teacher cried out like a pig being slaughtered and cried out for help. The other teachers in the miscellaneous affairs department quickly came over to stop him. "Stop! What are you doing?" Yun Chujio then let Shui Wuji and Jin Ji let go of the teacher. However, Yun Chujio poked the teacher a few times and immediately, the teacher cried out even louder. "It hurts so much. It hurts so much. You three good-for-nothings, just you wait. You'll definitely be expelled. How dare you beat the teacher, you're really rebelling." The teacher screamed as he cursed. Yun Chujio sneered. "Do you think a snob like you is worthy of being a teacher? The moment we entered the door, you attacked us verbally and gave us unqualified admission materials I asked you to change, but you insulted us verbally. How dare you say that you're a teacher?" When the teacher heard Yun Chujio's words, he scolded her even more harshly. "You little bitch. No matter what you say, it's the truth that you beat the teacher. Just wait to be expelled. Ouch, it hurts. Just you wait, I'll report this to the law enforcement office right now." After the teacher finished speaking, he took out his identity jade token and told the teacher in charge of the law enforcement office about the incident. "Just you wait, the law enforcement office will be here soon," the long-faced teacher said viciously. Yun Chujio suddenly jumped forward. She kicked the long-faced teacher fiercely again. "All right. Since we're going to be fired anyway, let's beat him up to our heart's content. Brother Wuji, don't just stand there. Haven't you always wanted to beat him up? Just give him a good beating and let him live." Shui Wuji wouldn't stand on ceremony. He gave the teacher a good beating. Jin Ji didn't stay idle either. She went up and scratched the teacher's face. The other teachers in the General Affairs Department wanted to stop her, but Yun Chujio held a big kitchen knife and made some gestures. "Teachers, we have our grievances and debts. Don't force me to kill him. If you come over, I'll kill him." If those instructors were serious, they could subdue Yun Chujio. However, that horse-faced man was not very popular, so no one was willing to take the risk. If they angered this little girl and really killed her, they would be covered in blood. Therefore, when the instructors from the law enforcement department arrived, they could hear the screams of the horse-faced instructor from afar. It was worse than killing a pig. Chapter 2235. You have been expelled. Stop it. Stop it now. The teachers of the law enforcement department saw the long-faced teacher's miserable state and could not help but twitch their lips. They had been beaten to a pulp. Yun Chujio silently put away the large kitchen knife and did not say a word. The long-faced teacher got up. He said in a flustered and exasperated manner, "Teacher Liu, you are finally here. If you had not come, I would have been beaten to death by these three good-for-nothings today." They publicly beat up the teachers of the academy. "Quickly expel the three of them." Teacher Liu frowned, thinking that this teacher Zhang was really a good-for-nothing. He was actually beaten up by the students, and he still had the nerve to call Mo Fangchao and the others good-for-nothings. However, Mo Fangchao and the other two were really audacious. They actually dared to beat up the teachers. This was really not good. Mo Fangchao, Shui Wuji, and Jin Ji, according to the academy's rules, beating up the teachers should deduct 200 points in one go. Their initial points are only 100 points, so your points will become negative. You should be expelled. Do you have any objections? Everyone's gaze was focused on Yun Chujio and the other two, wanting to hear what they had to say. However, everyone felt that there was nothing more to say. No matter how wrong Teacher Zhang was, it would not make sense for Mo Fangchao and the other two to publicly beat a teacher. These three were definitely going to be expelled. Mo Fangbing, who had the most complicated emotions, was not Mo Fangbing. On one hand, she was afraid of implicating her, and on the other hand, she was secretly complaining that Yun Chujio and the other two were really courting death. Why did they beat up a teacher for no reason? It would be fine if she endured it for a while, but how could she twist her little arm over her thigh? The facts were right in front of her eyes. No matter how sharp-tongued Mo Fangchao was, there was no way she could quibble this time. Teacher Lu, this is the recording stone from the incident just now. You and the other teachers can listen to it. Yun Chujio opened the recording stone as she spoke, and from it came the eccentric voice of the long-faced Teacher Zhang. The teachers of the law enforcement department frowned when they heard this. Although these three students were not very talented as a teacher, it was a bit too much for him to say this. Moreover, Xue Wuji's talent was a mutated wind spirit root. It was just that his spiritual power was slightly lower now. Teacher Lu frowned. Although Teacher Zhang's words and actions were inappropriate, the academy will deal with it. The fact that you guys beat up the teacher is established. What else do you have to say? Instructor Lu, we admit that we beat him up. You can deal with it impartially. We have no objections, Yun Chujio said calmly. The crowd immediately exploded. Was this Mo Fangchao crazy? She actually admitted to the punishment without even explaining? Did she know that admitting to the punishment meant that she was going to be expelled? Although Xue Wuji and Jin Ji did not know what kind of medicine Yun Chujio was selling, they had great trust in Yun Chujio. Therefore, they did not say a word, as if they were all relying on Yun Chujio to make the decision. Instructor Lu was also stunned, but since he had admitted his crime, then they would deal with it impartially. Since you have no objections, the three of you beat the instructor, and each of you will be deducted 200 points. Your points have already become negative, so you will be expelled. Someone expel the three of them from Xingtian Academy. Instructor Zhang, who had been beaten into a pig's head, said proudly, "Humph. Serves you right. However, trash like you should never have appeared in Xingtian Academy. You are simply a disgrace to Xingtian Academy." As soon as he finished speaking, Yun Chujio sent him flying into the wall with a flying kick. Xue Wuji and Jin Ji naturally did not hold back and gave him another round of beating. Chapter 2236 will reward us with 1,000 points. Yun Chujio continued to beat him up. Beat him up. We've already deducted 200 points, so it's worth it. Let's see if he still dares to be snobbish in the future. Let's see if he still dares to pretend to be a big shot in the future. The onlookers were stunned. How could he do this? This was too cruel. After a long while, Instructor Lu finally reacted and shouted, "Stop! Stop!" Yun Chujio and the other two finally stopped fighting. Teacher Zhang was obedient this time because he had already fainted from the beating. The reason why Yun Chujio gave Teacher Zhang a good beating was partly to vent her anger and partly to relieve the pain points that she had just touched, so as to avoid any trouble. Teacher Lu looked at Teacher Zhang, who was beaten into a pile of mud, and his eyes twitched, but he didn't know what to say. Mo Fangchao was right. 200 points had been deducted anyway, so the beating would be in vain. Just as Teacher Lu was about to ask a few guards to expel Yun Chujio and the other two, Yun Chujio said, "Teacher Lu, according to the academy's rules, if a student contributes to the academy, they will be rewarded with corresponding points, right?" Teacher Lu was stunned. There is indeed such a rule. What do you mean? Teacher Lu, the three of us have made a huge contribution to our Xingtian Academy. I think according to the academy's rules, we should be rewarded with at least 1,000 points each, Yun Chujio said with a smile. Teacher Lu frowned. A huge contribution? You guys just entered the academy today. What huge contribution did you guys make? Teacher Lu, the three of us have discovered the true situation of the deep valley of hell. Wasn't this considered a huge contribution? In the past, when the heavenly Tao cliff of our Xingtian Academy was mentioned, everyone would be envious. It was inevitable that they would attack our Xingtian Academy because of the deep valley of hell and ruin our reputation. Now, the three of us have returned safely. If anyone were to use the abyss of hell to frame our Heaven's Path Academy in the future, we would be the best evidence to retaliate. The three of us almost lost our lives to save our Heaven's Path Academy's reputation. Isn't this a huge contribution? Even if each of us were to give us 5,000 points, it wouldn't be too much. 1,000 points is already a friendship price. Yun Chujio straightened her small waist and said proudly, "You're talking nonsense. What does this deep valley of hell have to do with the reputation of our Xingtian Academy?" Instructor Lu, don't listen to her nonsense. Hurry up and chase them out. Instructor Zhang woke up and heard Yun Chujio's words. He shouted angrily. Yun Chujio sneered. Instructor Lu, you're a sensible person who cares about the overall situation. Don't tell me you have the same thoughts as that brainless person? Teacher Liu's face stiffened. This little girl was really crafty. She had sealed her words tightly. If he agreed to Teacher Zhang's words, wouldn't that mean that he was ignorant and didn't care about the big picture? Was he brainless? Teacher Lu, since the deep valley of hell is under the jurisdiction of our Xingtian Academy, that is our responsibility. Our Xingtian Academy can't enjoy the benefits brought by the heavenly Tao cliff and not bear the responsibility of the deep valley of hell, right? Therefore, if the abyss of hell continues to bear a bad reputation, the reputation of our Xingtian Academy will definitely be affected. Now that the three of us have investigated the situation, the threat that originally existed is no longer there. We no longer have to worry about someone using the abyss of hell to attack our Xingtian Academy. Therefore, this 1,000 points is really worth it. We will never be able to find such a good deal again. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Chapter 2237 was a female bandit. Just as Teacher Lu was hesitating, he heard someone say, "That's right, you should be rewarded." Yun Chujio saw the person and was delighted. This Teacher Pang had come at the right time. If he hadn't come, he would have had to spend a lot of effort to convince Teacher Lu. Teacher Pang's position was obviously higher than Teacher Liu's because when Teacher Lu heard Teacher Pang say this, he immediately said, "All right, the three of you have indeed made a huge contribution to the academy. Each of you will be rewarded with 1,000 points. After deducting the 200 points for beating Teacher Zhang, each of you will have 900 points left." After Yun Chujio and the other two happily thanked him, Teacher Pang reprimanded the three of them again. It was nothing more than following the rules. Teacher Zhang was so angry that he gritted his teeth. However, he seemed to be very afraid of Teacher Pang, so he did not dare to raise any objections. Although Teacher Pang did not like Teacher Zhang's actions, Teacher Zhang was a member of the General Affairs Department, so he could not say anything. He took Teacher Lu and the others and left. After seeing Teacher Lu and the others leave, Yun Chujio turned around and looked at Teacher Zhang with a smile. "Teacher Zhang, can you change these clothes and manuals for us?" Teacher Zhang wanted to strangle Yun Chujio to death. He snorted and said, "I can't change them. I don't care if you want them." "You can't change them? It's fine if you don't. Anyway, I have 900 points now. If I beat you up once a day, it would only be 200 points. I'll beat you up for 4 days straight. If you don't feel satisfied, the two of them will beat you up for another 8 days. Isn't this interesting?" Yun Chujio took out a large kitchen knife and rubbed it on the table. You dare?" Teacher Zhang said with a stern expression, but he was actually cowardly. "Gotcha." Yun Chujio chopped the table into two with a kitchen knife. Before the teachers from the Miscellaneous Affairs Department could say anything, this guy said in a carefree manner, "Destroying the Academy's property, according to the severity of the plot, deduct 5 to 100 points. This table can be counted as 5 points at most. You guys can deduct it. I have no objections." The teachers in the General Affairs Department looked at each other. How is this a student? This was simply a female bandit. Yun Chujio held the large kitchen knife and waved it in front of Teacher Zhang. "How is it? Can we exchange or not?" Although teacher Zhang wanted to kill Yun Chujio, his injuries were not light. Moreover, Yun Chujio still had nothing to fear. He could only clench his teeth and take out 3 sets of new admission materials and throw them on the other table. Yun Chujio looked at them. This time, they were all new. She picked up the 3 dormitory tokens and said, "Give me 3 of the best dormitories. If you dare to be perfunctory with me, I'll come over tomorrow and beat you up. If you don't believe me, let's try it." Teacher Zhang turned to look at the other teachers in the General Affairs Department. He wanted to ask for help, but those teachers acted as if they did not see him. What a joke! This Mo Fangchao was so cruel. What if he would rather spend 200 points to beat them up? Although their spiritual power was higher than Yun Chujius and the others, those who were barefoot were not afraid of wearing shoes. If they were injured, it would not be worth it. Seeing that no one came over to help, Teacher Zhang was so angry that he gritted his teeth. He had no choice but to take out 3 dormitory jade tokens and threw them on the table. These 3 dormitories are exclusive. You guys are lucky. Yun Chujio then handed the items to Shui Wuji and Jin Ji with satisfaction. She said with a smile, "Teacher Zhang, if we don't fight, we won't get to know each other. I'll come to see you often in the future. See you later." Teacher Zhang only felt his head buzzing with anger. His vision went black and he fainted again. Chapter 2238 was a great bargain. Yun Chujio spread her hands. This time he fainted on his own. "It's none of my business. Sister Fangbing, bring us to the canteen. I'm starving." Mo Fangbing nodded blankly and brought Yun Chujio and the other 2 out of the General Affairs office. Mo Fangbing's heart was very complicated. On one hand, she was envious of Yun Chujio and the other 2's points and dormitory. On the other hand, she regretted not being able to stand on the same side as them in time. The canteen was not far from the General Affairs office. The 4 of them soon arrived at the canteen. The canteen was very big and the inside was very clean. It was already afternoon and there were not many people eating in the canteen. Yun Chujio never mistreated herself. Therefore, she ordered a big table and the 4 of them chatted as they ate. "Sister Fangbing, how are the classes arranged?" "Every day is half a day of classes. 1 spiritual energy class and 1 cultivator's 6 techniques class. The afternoon is free to be arranged. Every half a month we have 3 days of rest." Yun Chujio nodded. This was similar to the arrangement of Tianyuan Academy. However, she didn't know what the spiritual energy class would teach. After all, everyone basically knew high-level physical transformation techniques. What else could they teach? After the 4 of them finished eating, Yun Chujio packed a lot of food before leaving the canteen. According to the courtyard number marked on the dormitory jade plate, the 4 of them found the corresponding courtyard. This was 3 courtyards connected together, right in the middle of the dormitory district. Mo Fangbing saw the courtyard of Yun Chujio and the other 2 and could not help but be envious. "Sister Fangchao, the dormitory that Teacher Zhang gave you is indeed the best. Although our dormitory is 1 room per person, we share a courtyard with a few people. Yours is a separate courtyard." Yun Chujio said proudly, "That's true. If he dares to play tricks, I won't beat him to death." Yun Chujio chose a courtyard on the east side. Jin Ji naturally chose a courtyard next to hers. The westernmost courtyard belonged to Shui Wuji. "Sister Fangbing, where is your dormitory?" Mo Fangbing pointed with her finger. "The south side is the dormitory of the day class of each grade. The east side is the dormitory of the month class of each grade, and the north side is the dormitory of the star class of each grade." Yun Chujio nodded. It seemed that this dormitory had a hierarchy. They had caused a ruckus in the miscellaneous affairs department, and it was a blessing in disguise. Otherwise, it would be inconvenient to share a courtyard with others. Especially for someone like her who had too many secrets. Mo Fangbing saw that there was nothing else for her to do, so she turned around and left. Yun Chujio and the other 2 entered their respective courtyards. Yun Chujio entered her own courtyard and sized it up. She was very satisfied with it. Not only was the room fully furnished, but the courtyard was also spacious enough to have a barbecue or something. It was completely enough. What Yun Chujio did not know was that on the first day of school, she was completely famous in Xingtian Academy. Hey, did you guys hear? This year's freshman had a badass with lightning. He beat up that horse-faced person in the General Affairs department. That horse-faced person was beaten up quite a few times. He was miserable and screamed like a pig being slaughtered. Really? That student must have been expelled, right? After all, beating up the teacher would deduct 200 points. No. That's why that student is so awesome. She got the law enforcement to reward them with 1,000 points each. Adding the initial 100 points, after deducting 200 points, there's still 900 points left. That's not all. That horseface even gave the 3 best dorms to Mo Fangchao. How many seniors failed to get those 3 dorms? Who would have thought that Mo Fangchao and the other 2 would cause such a ruckus and reap such a huge benefit? Chapter 2239 The Black Sheep. She hadn't slept well these few days, so that night, Yun Chujio went to bed early to rest. After a good night's sleep and breakfast, Yun Chujio and the other 2 went to the classroom. The students they met on the way pointed at the 3 of them and discussed among themselves. They were talking about what happened at the General Affairs Department the day before, and even the 3 of them at Tiandao Cliff was treated as a topic of conversation. Yun Chujio and the other 2 were all doing things their own way, so they didn't care about it at all. They followed the location that Mo Fangbing told them yesterday and successfully found the first-grade star class classroom. After entering the classroom, Yun Chujio couldn't help but feel very surprised. The classroom of Xingtian Academy was very different from that of Tianyuan Academy. The classroom of Tianyuan Academy was nothing more than the teacher's podium in front and the desk below. However, the classroom of Xingtian Academy was round. In the middle of the classroom was a rather large round podium, surrounded by a few rings of students' desks. At this moment, there were already quite a number of students in the star class. When they saw Yun Chujio and the other 2, their gazes were all different. Some looked at them curiously, some looked at them disdainfully, and some looked at them with jealousy and hatred. Mo Fangbing was just about to stand up and greet Yun Chujio when a woman in white beside her said disdainfully, "If you are close to them, move to their courtyard. Don't squeeze in with us." The other woman in pink also echoed, "That's right. If you want to climb up the social ladder, hurry up and go. Our small temple can't accommodate you." Mo Fangbing bit her lip. The 2 women who spoke were people who lived in the same courtyard as her. If she insisted on talking to Yun Chujio, they would definitely reject her. Mo Fangbing weighed the pros and cons and lowered her head. She did not greet Yun Chujio. She felt that Yun Chujio's showy personality would cause trouble sooner or later. It was better to keep a certain distance from her now so that she would not be implicated. Yun Chujio was so smart. She saw that Mo Fangbing did not look at her and guessed that it was close. She could not help but sigh in her heart. She initially thought that Mo Fangbing was someone who knew what was going on. She did not expect that she would be so cowardly when she encountered something. In fact, Yun Chujio and Jin Ji had already discussed it. They were prepared to let Mo Fangbing move into Jin Ji's courtyard after class today. They did not blame Mo Fangbing for not jumping off the cliff, nor did they blame Mo Fangbing for not helping to beat up Teacher Zhang. After all, they did not have a deep friendship. They did not expect Mo Fangbing to want to draw a line between them. Forget it, since that was the case, then from now on, the bridge will return to the bridge, and the road will return to the road. If Mo Fangbing knew Yun Chujio and the others' original plans, her intestines would probably be green with regret. The students had all arrived one after another. A moment later, Teacher Dong of the star class entered. Teacher Dong walked onto the round platform and swept his gaze across the crowd. His gaze paused on Yun Chujio and the other 2 for a moment, but his gaze wasn't very friendly. Teacher Dong said with a gloomy face, "All of you should feel proud to be able to become students of the Xingtian Academy. I only have 2 requirements for all of you. One is to cultivate well, and the other is to not cause any trouble for me. Some students not only have low spiritual power levels, but they also cause trouble on the first day of school. I don't want to see such a thing happen again. If you do it again, please leave our star class. Such a black sheep will sooner or later implicate our star class. Do you all hear me clearly? Hearing Teacher Dong's words, Mo Fangbing suddenly felt that her decision just now was right. Mo Fangchao and the others would cause big trouble sooner or later. Chapter 2240, Spiritual Power Illusion Technique. The students of the star class were not stupid. They immediately understood that Teacher Dong was talking about Yun Chujio and the other two. All kinds of gazes immediately turned to Yun Chujio and the other two. Yun Chujio's expression was as calm as usual. Although Xue Wuji and Jin Ji did not look too good, they were still relatively calm. Teacher Dong snorted coldly and continued, "Most of you should have already mastered the high-level spiritual power materialization technique. Do you feel that the learning of spiritual power materialization has come to an end?" Yun Chujio's heart moved. Although this Teacher Dong was snobbish, his teaching level seemed to be pretty good. She would think about it after a while. Teacher Dong saw that no one said anything. He continued, "If you think that way, then you are very wrong. The high-level materialization of spiritual power that you have mastered is only the beginning of materialization of spiritual power. The highest level of materialization of spiritual power is to be moved at will. You can materialize whatever you want." One of the students raised his hand and gestured for Teacher Dong to nod, indicating that he could ask questions. That student then said, "Teacher Dong, didn't you say that the spiritual beasts that each character materializes are fixed? If it's really as you said, then can the spiritual beasts be replaced with other ones?" This student's words represented the inner thoughts of many students. Everyone turned to look at Teacher Dong. "What you said is right and wrong. When you use a high-level materialization technique, the spiritual beasts that you materialize are your intrinsic spiritual beasts, and their attack power is also the strongest. However, if you master the spirit power phantom technique, you can materialize to assist the spiritual beasts and help them attack," Teacher Dong explained. Everyone immediately exploded. They had never heard of such a saying before. Could Teacher Dong's words be understood as saying that a person could have other auxiliary spirit beasts besides the natal spirit beast? Didn't this mean that the attack power would double or multiply by several times? There were also some people who arrogantly did not participate in the discussion. They were all related to first-class families, so they had long heard of this. "Teacher Dong, other than the intrinsic spirit beast, how many auxiliary spirit beasts can that person materialize?" A classmate asked excitedly. "Theoretically, there is no limit to the number, but this has a direct relationship with everyone's spirit energy reserve and the strength of their spiritual sense. Generally speaking, people at the level of Ling Xian and Spiritual Void could only materialize one auxiliary spirit beast, but the strength of the attack was different. People at the level of Ling Kong could conjure 2 support spirit beasts at most. Of course, if one's talent isn't good, even if one's spirit power has reached the level, they wouldn't be able to conjure a support spirit beast. Teacher Dong's words were like a basin of cold water, instantly dampening the enthusiasm of the crowd by more than half. At first, they thought that they could materialize many support spirit beasts, but they didn't expect that even Ling Kong could only conjure 2. When Teacher Dong saw this, he sneered and said, "Do you guys think that this skill is useless? Wrong, very wrong. When 2 enemies fight, any small matter can decide life and death. If you have one more support spirit beast than the enemy, your chances of winning will greatly increase. Moreover, do you think that 2 support beasts are the end point? As far as I know, the almighty experts of the Chaos Origin Sect and the Killing Origin Sect can even materialize 10 auxiliary beasts. It's a big taboo to aim too high. Go back and reflect on yourself." When the students heard Teacher Dong's words, they naturally began to discuss animatedly. At this moment, Xue Wuji and Jin Ji were thinking that little Jiao could release a group of spirit piglets. What was she doing? Could she be even more awesome than the mighty figures of the Chaos Origin Sect and the Killing Origin Sect? Chapter 2241 drew a clear line. Yun Chujio herself was also puzzled. The higher the spiritual power, the more spiritual beasts would appear? Then what was her group of piglets? However, it was also true. When she used the high-grade spiritual power materialization spell, after the purple piglets appeared, the silver piglets of spiritual power disappeared. This could also be considered a natal spiritual beast, right? Teacher Dong saw that Yun Chujio and the other two were puzzled, and he couldn't help but despise them in his heart. He heard that these three were all from the Tianyuan continent, and their comprehension was indeed too poor. Although that Shui Wuji had a mutated wind spirit root, his comprehension wasn't very good, and he couldn't even understand the words. After Teacher Dong coughed, everyone quieted down, and Teacher Dong began to explain the spiritual power phantom technique. Of course, this was only the first lesson. What he explained were some general theories, so everyone listened in a daze. Teacher Dong was clearly prepared for this. When the lesson was about to end, he said, "The spirit power phantom technique cannot be learned overnight. Don't be in a hurry to achieve success. Your top priority now is to cultivate diligently and work hard to raise your spirit power. Especially for some people, they have to be self-aware. If their foundations are weak, they have to fly first. Don't drag down our star class." Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. "Pooey. You're not a fucking pig. You still have a leg to stand on." Moreover, the star class was originally a poor class. It was not certain who would be the one dragging down who. After Teacher Dong finished speaking, he turned around and left the classroom. The woman in white who had mocked Mo Fongbing earlier and the woman in pink looked at each other. The woman in pink raised her voice and said to Mo Fongbing, "Mo Fongbing, what's your relationship with those three good-for-nothings? You're the daughter of a third-grade family after all. You wouldn't be willing to stoop down and hang out with them, right?" Mo Fongbing was both angry and anxious. Although she intended to draw a line between herself and Yun Chujio and the other two, she still wanted to leave some leeway. After all, she didn't know anyone else in the Sky Punisher Academy. Now that the woman in pink asked this question, she was in a difficult position. If she drew a clear line with Yun Chujio and the other two, she could only completely cut off all ties in the future. If she didn't draw a clear line, the other people in the star class would probably isolate her. What should she do? Seeing that Mo Fongbing didn't say anything, the woman in pink curled her lips. "What? It seems like you're with them. Since that's the case, you can go sit with them. Don't squeeze in with us." When Mo Fongbing was in the Mo family, she had always thought that she was superior to others. However, in the Xingtian Academy, because of her low spiritual power, she always felt that she couldn't lift her head up. Although the students of the Xingtian Academy didn't come from a high background, a third-class family was nothing at all. Many people were related to first-class and second-class families. Although some people came from poor backgrounds, their aptitude was good enough. Therefore, they didn't look up to a family like the Mo family, which was barely able to squeeze into the third-class family. The things that Mo Fongbing was proud of were broken, so her cold and proud shell was also broken. She bit her lips and said with difficulty, "Mo Fongchao is only a member of the Western Continent branch of the Mo family. I don't have a deep relationship with her. Shui Wuji and Jin Ji I didn't know them before." Hearing Mo Fongbing's words, the woman in pink smiled proudly at Yun Chujio. Then she said to Mo Fongbing, "Fongbing, I told you. How can a third-class family's daughter be friends with those three good-for-nothings? Don't worry, we'll take care of you in the future." Before Mo Fongbing could answer, she heard Yun Chujio say clearly, "Sister Fongbing, did you mean what you said just now? Are you trying to draw a clear line with us?" Chapter 2242 Talisman Seal Class. Mo Fongbing did not dare to look into Yun Chujio's eyes at all. She stammered, "Mo Fongbing, in the future, let's not interact too much. I want to focus on my cultivation." Yun Chujio sneered, "All right, since that's the case, then let's be safe. I hope you won't regret it." When Mo Fongbing heard Yun Chujio's words, her heart suddenly felt empty. She bit her lip and convinced herself that not only did Mo Fongchao and the other two have low spiritual power and no background, but they were also bold enough to cause trouble sooner or later. It was not wrong to draw a clear line with them. Moreover, the few people she met on the street seemed to be from a first-class family. Sooner or later, they would settle the score with Mo Fangchao. Even if great-grandfather knew about what happened here, he would definitely agree with her drawing a clear line with them. Jin Ji looked on coldly from the side. She only had one comment on Mo Fangbing's actions. She was extremely stupid. Although little Gio had a temperamental personality, she was an extremely protective person. She would never be worried that she would betray her friends if they were friends. Moreover, she would risk her life for her friends. Mo Fangbing actually gave up on such a friend and chose those idiots. She was really stupid. Yun Chujio was very calm. It was fine if she did not want such a friend. She did not want to stab her in the back at a critical moment. After a while, a teacher walked in. I am the teacher who teaches you talisman lessons. I know that most of you will not choose to take talisman lessons in the future. However, a little more understanding of the types and characteristics of talismans will definitely be helpful to you when you are facing enemies in the future. Therefore, the first grade course is mainly about the types and characteristics of Dao talismans. When you are in the second grade, the students who choose to take Dao talismans will come into contact with the drawing of high-level Dao talismans. After hearing this, Yun Chujio was so angry that she wanted to bang her head against the wall. Who would be willing to listen to the types and characteristics of these Dao talismans? They had to be practical. They had to be practical. She came to Xingtian Academy to learn how to draw Dao talismans. How about going to the Heartless Sword sect? However, when she thought about the inheritance she had obtained from the Heaven Dao Cliff, she felt a little comforted. At the very most, she could just learn it by herself. If she really couldn't, she could still go to the Heaven Dao Cliff to extort a few more inheritances. After all, she still had the recording stone in her hands. The conversation from that day had all been recorded. 2 hours later, the talisman's lesson ended. Yun Chujio and the other two had lunch in the canteen before strolling slowly towards the dormitory. As soon as the three of them arrived at the gate of the courtyard, they saw a group of people waiting for them with unfriendly gazes. You guys came back just in time. My brother and the others have taken a fancy to these 3 courtyards. You guys should vacate the courtyard and find another place to stay. The one who spoke was Diao Xiaoyan, Zhu Jingtai. Behind Zhu Jingtai stood 3 people. One of them was Diao Xiaoyan, and his appearance was 60% similar to Zhu Jingtai's. The other 2 were rather decent-looking, and they curled their lips as they looked at Yun Chujio and the other 2. Yun Chujio glanced at Zhu Jingtai. The dormitory is allocated by the General Affairs Department. We don't have the final say. If you want to switch courtyards, go find the General Affairs Department. Stinky girl, don't be so shameless. My elder brother and the others are seniors. If they want your courtyard, it means that they look up to you. Today, you have to give way or not, or else you won't be able to enter the dormitory. Block the courtyard gate for me. I want to see if this stinky girl will make way. Sure enough, Zhu Jingtai's lackeys blocked the gate of the 3 courtyards. They looked at Yun Chujio and the others with a face full of ridicule. Chapter 2243 was too brutal. Yun Chujio glanced at those people. With her abnormal memory, she recognized that these people were all freshmen of this year. They were probably in the same class as Zhu Jingtai. Yun Chujio looked at the 3 people behind Zhu Jingtai and said indifferently, "Seniors, what do you say?" Diao Xiaoyan curled his lips. "Do you not understand human language? Didn't you hear what my brother said? The 3 of US brothers will take good care of these 3 courtyards. Hurry up and give them up. Although fighting is prohibited in the academy, there are plenty of ways to kill you. You'd better be sensible." Yun Chujio curled her lips and ignored Diao Xiaoyan. Instead, she walked to the entrance of her own courtyard and took out a large kitchen knife. She said to the students blocking the entrance of the courtyard, "Do you want to get out of the way immediately, or do you want me to bleed you?" The students were stunned for a moment before they burst into laughter. "Mo Fangchao, are you out of your mind? Don't tell me that you can't beat us. Fighting is prohibited in the academy. Do you want to be expelled?" Yun Chujio glanced at them. She took out a thick stack of superior-grade burst talismans with her left hand. Although I can't beat you, I can at least hurt the enemy by 1,000 and damage myself by 800, right? Do you think that if these talismans explode, you will be seriously injured or I will be seriously injured? As for expulsion? Don't worry, I still have 900 points. If I beat you guys up, it'll only deduct 200 points at most. That's just a small amount of money. However, do you guys have 200 points to deduct? Those students were all dumbstruck. Fuck. Wasn't this black fragrant grass too savage? She actually planned to perish together. Was she crazy? Moreover, the talisman was in her hands. If she threw it out, she would definitely be the least injured. What was worse was that she was right. If the incident happened and she was punished, they wouldn't be able to recover either. They didn't have 200 points for the law enforcement department to deduct. At that time, they would be expelled from school. Although those students were Zhu Jingtai's lackeys, they weren't worth risking their own future just to please him. Thus, they all cowered and slowly gave up their courtyard gates. Shui Wuji and Jin Ji naturally followed suit, so those students could only give up their courtyard gate. Zhu Jingtai was so angry that he jumped in front of Yun Chujio. He pointed at Yun Chujio's nose and scolded, "Damn girl, stop right there. Don't think that you're so great just because you have points. My brother and the others are not to be trifled with." Hearing Zhu Jingtai's clamor, Yun Chujio gave Shui Wuji and Jin Ji a look. The three of them suddenly rushed forward and attacked Zhu Jingtai at the same time. Zhu Jingtai was shouting arrogantly, but he did not expect Yun Chujio and the others to attack him at the slightest disagreement. Therefore, when he realized that things were not right and wanted to resist, Yun Chujio's big kitchen knife was already placed on his neck. Yun Chujio exerted force on Zhu Jingtai's neck, and a wound immediately appeared on Zhu Jingtai's neck. Fresh blood flowed out, and Zhu Jingtai cried out in pain. Diao Xian and the other two lackeys were all stunned. They thought that Yun Chujio was just saying it, but they didn't expect her to actually dare to attack him. She was too bold. Zhu Jingtai was in pain and angry. He shouted at Diao Xian, "Brother, save me! Brother, save me!" Diao Xiaoyan said viciously, "Release my brother immediately, or I will kill you." Yun Chujio cut Zhu Jingtai's neck again. "I'm not afraid of threats. Let's not talk about whether you can kill me or not. If you dare to make a move, you will be fired." Chapter 2244 had been corrupted. The reason why Yun Chujio was so certain was because she had studied the rules of the academy. The reward points for each test were very limited, and the first place was only 100 points. Although Diao Xiaoyan and the other two had higher spiritual power levels than them, since they were able to let their underlings fight for the courtyard, their results would not be much better. Naturally, their points would not exceed 200 points. Even if they could exceed 200 points, they would not be willing to be deducted just like that. Sure enough, after Diao Xiaoyan heard Yun Chujio's words, he hesitated for a moment and said viciously, "Mo Fangchao, you win. You let my brother go, and we don't want your courtyard anymore." Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows. "What you said is easy. If you want to forget it, we don't want to forget it. I'm in a very bad mood right now. I just want to beat up a few people to vent my anger. Anyway, it's only a matter of 200 points. Do you want us to beat you up, or beat up your little brother? Or do you want us to beat up those lackeys?" Diao Xiaoyan was so angry that his eyes were red. "Mo Fangchao, don't push your luck. You're going to hang around Xingtian Academy in the future. If you don't want to lose your life for no reason, then quickly release him." TSK, looks like you have chosen to let your younger brother get beaten up. Then I will be more respectful. As Yun Chujio said this, she had Shui Wuji and Jin Ji restrain Zhu Jingtai. Then she gave Zhu Jingtai a slap. Finally, she kicked his lower back and sent him flying. Diao Xiaoyan wanted to save Zhu Jingtai, but Shui Wuji held Yun Chujio's kitchen knife in his hand. He was afraid that Shui Wuji would really kill Zhu Jingtai, so he didn't dare to make a move. Diao Xiaoyan jumped up and caught Zhu Jingtai. When he saw Zhu Jingtai's face, which was beaten into a pig's head, He was so angry that he gnashed his teeth. Mo Fangchao, very good. Let's wait and see. Yun Chujio curled the corner of her mouth and took the kitchen knife from Xue Wuji's hand. She slashed at the tree next to her, and the tree immediately fell to the ground. Yun Chujio held the kitchen knife. She glanced at Diao Xiaoyan and those who were watching the show. Although I don't have a background and my spiritual power is low, I have 900 points. I'm not afraid of death. Damn it, whoever dares to provoke me in the future will end up like this tree. The students shrunk their necks silently. This Mo Fangchao was just like a female bandit. She was too cruel. Although her spiritual power was low, she didn't deserve to lose points because of fighting with her. It was better to not provoke her in the future. Diao Xiaoyan cast a cold glance at Yun Chujio, then helped Zhu Jingtai, who had been beaten into a pig's head, to leave. Diao Xiaoyan's two classmates also cast a sinister glance at Yun Chujio and followed her. As for those lackeys, they were afraid that Yun Chujio would look for them to settle the score, so they dispersed like a swarm of bees. Seeing that there was nothing to see, the students also dispersed like birds and beasts. Their hearts were burning with the flames of gossip, and they were ready to tell the others what they had seen. Xue Wuji and Jinji followed Yun Chujio into her courtyard. Jinji asked in confusion, "Little Jiao, didn't you always pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger? Why are you so cruel in Xingtian Academy this time?" Yun Chujio snorted coldly. These people are either snobbish or bully the weak and fear the strong. If we are weak, they will definitely push their luck. Anyway, in the academy, they don't dare to do anything openly. If they play dirty, how can they beat me? I'll play them to death. Jinji nodded. A word that Yun Chujio said flashed through her mind. It was dark. This guy was completely dark. Chapter 2245 Report, Little Jiao, what should we do in the afternoon? Cultivate separately? Jinji asked. Yun Chujio stretched lazily. Let's take a nap first. After we wake up, let's walk around and familiarize ourselves with the terrain. Xue Wuji and Jinji nodded, and the two returned to their respective courtyards. 2 hours later, Yun Chujio and the other two walked out of the courtyard and began to stroll around Xingtian Academy. In a fight within the Xingtian Academy, only if someone from both sides reported it would it be counted. If the people didn't report it, the officials wouldn't look into it, and the law enforcement department would turn a blind eye to it. Zhu Jingtai naturally wouldn't be stupid enough to report it. If he did, Yun Chujio and the other two wouldn't do anything, and his points wouldn't be enough to deduct. However, the speed at which the gossip spread was quite fast. The news of Zhu Jingtai being beaten had already spread to more than half of the Xingtian Academy. Therefore, the three of them naturally received all kinds of stares as they walked. Yun Chujio said leisurely, "Brother Wuji, Beauty Jinji, we will often encounter such a situation in the future, so you have to learn to enjoy this kind of situation." Xue Wuji raised his eyebrows. "Little Sister Jiao, you underestimate me too much. When have I ever cared about the stares of others? It's just that my strength is too weak now. Otherwise, if anyone dares to gossip, I will skin him alive." Jinji was not as thick-skinned as these two, but she was not a girl who followed the rules. She snorted coldly and said, "Xue Wuji is right. Sooner or later, I'll use my strength to shut them all up." The three of them chatted as they walked. When Yun Chujio saw the spirit fruit tree by the roadside, she picked a few fruits without hesitation and took a bite. The taste was really good. When the students who were eating melons saw that Yun Chujio was actually daring enough to pick spirit fruits, someone shouted, "Those fruits are from the academy, you can't pick them." Yun Chujio glanced at the student who spoke. "You want to report me? Isn't it just deducting points? What's so great about it? However, if you dare to report me, well, wait and see." When the student thought of the rumors he heard, he immediately cowered and didn't dare to make a sound. Yun Chujio curled her lips and gave the spirit fruit to Xue Wuji and Jinji. The three of them continued to walk around while chewing on the spirit fruit. The student who had spoken earlier did not dare to report it, but that did not mean that others did not dare to report it either. A few students secretly went to the law enforcement office. The teachers in the law enforcement office were discussing the matter of Yun Chujio beating up Zhu Jingtai. This Mo Fangchao is really audacious. She beat up the teacher yesterday and beat up her classmate today. It's really outrageous. Some instructors said with admiration, I think this Mo Fangchao is not bad. Many students choose to silently endure the bullying of the senior students. If the cultivators don't even have the courage to resist, how can they cultivate the great Tao? You're right. This Mo Fangchao's courage is commendable, but her mischievous character will cause big trouble sooner or later. That may not be the case. Although she beat up Zhu Jingtai, it was only a superficial injury. She clearly knows what she's doing. When the teachers from the law enforcement division saw the students enter, they stopped their discussion and looked at the students. What do you all want? Teacher, we have something to report. That Mo Fangbing picked the spirit fruit from the academy. She also said that it's okay to report it. Anyway, it's just a few points deducted. She's really too arrogant. The one who spoke was a woman in pink. It was Di Shanshan, who was in the same courtyard as Mo Fangbing. Teacher, we can all testify that Mo Fangbing is taking advantage of her points to do whatever she wants. She's really too much. The woman in white who spoke was Shi Luoxia, who was in the same courtyard as Mo Fangbing. The other students also chimed in. Most of these people were students from the star class. Their motive was very clear. It was best to expel the 3 black sheep of Mo Fangbing so as not to drag down the star class. Chapter 2246. Was she thinking of going to heaven? The law enforcement division instructors looked at each other. This Mo Fangchao was really capable of stirring up trouble. It had only been 2 days since she had entered the school. First, she had beaten up the instructor of the General Affairs Division, then she had beaten up her own classmate. Now, she had plucked the academy's spirit fruit. Was she thinking of going to heaven? Although some instructors felt that picking the spirit fruit wasn't a big deal, they would just deduct some points. Some teachers felt that if they carelessly settled the matter, the authority of the law enforcement department would be questioned by everyone. Thus, they had to punish Mo Fangchao and the other 2. Yun Chujio and the other 2 were leisurely strolling around while chewing on the fruit. At this moment, their identity jade plates trembled at the same time. After they sent their spiritual senses in, they looked at each other and found that the matter had been exposed. Little Gio, is the law enforcement office looking for us because of Zhu Jingtai's matter or because of the spirit fruit? No matter which matter it is, we have points, so why should we be afraid of him? Let's go. We haven't been to the law enforcement office yet. Let's go for a stroll. The corner of Jean Ji's eyes twitched. Under normal circumstances, no one seemed to be willing to go to the law enforcement office for a stroll, right? When the 3 of them arrived at the law enforcement office, they realized that there were already many students gathered outside the law enforcement office. Obviously, they had heard about this and came to watch the show. Yun Chujio pouted. No matter when or where, there would always be bystanders. The flames of gossip would continue to spread. Yun Chujio entered the law enforcement office's house. When she saw Di Shanshan, Shi Luoxia, and the others, her eyes deepened. She did not expect that other people would not dare to report it, but these idiots had come to report it. Good, very good. Xiao He had a few more people in his account book. However, this fellow heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that it was not because he had beaten up Zhu Jingtai. Stealing the spirit fruit would only deduct a few points. It did not matter. Instructor Lu said sternly, Mo Fangchao, Shui Wuji, Jin Ji, you stole the academy's spirit fruit. Do you know your mistake? Yun Chujio said with a smile, I know my mistake. I know my mistake. The 2 of them didn't fight. I picked them all by myself. According to the rules of the academy, 5 to 100 points will be deducted according to the severity of the plot. I only picked a total of 8 fruits. Can you deduct 5 points from me? 5 points? You dare to pick them in broad daylight. You are really audacious. At least 20 points will be deducted. Although the 2 of them didn't pick them, they ate them together. This is collusion. Each of them will be deducted 10 points. Instructor Lu said sternly. Yun Chujio couldn't help but feel regretful. If she had known this would happen, she would have prepared the nest for it. In any case, she would have deducted 100 points at most. Yes, she would do it when she had the chance. If these spiritual fruits were all picked, it would be enough to eat for several years. Seeing that Yun Chujio had her head lowered and didn't say anything, Teacher Liu's expression eased up a little. It seemed that she had realized her mistake. Even in his dreams, he didn't expect that this guy in front of him had already made up his mind to take the spiritual fruits together. When Teacher Lu saw that the three of them had confessed and was about to announce the punishment decision, Teacher Pang walked in from outside. "What's going on?" Teacher Lu told them what had happened, then lowered his voice and said, "Teacher Pang, do you think my punishment is still appropriate?" Teacher Pang glanced at Yun Chujio and the other two, then he said, "The punishment is too light. The points will naturally be deducted, but there will also be corporal punishment. Mo Fangchao, Xue Wuji, and Jin Ji, the three of you have repeatedly made mistakes, so you will be punished to clean the classroom for a month. Do you have any objections?" Chapter 2247. Self-defense. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. She thought that this old man Pang was a good person, but she didn't expect him to be a cheater. However, she knew that this teacher Pang was not someone to be trifled with. She said obediently, "If you have done something wrong, you must be punished. We have no objections." Seeing that she had admitted her mistake very well, Teacher Pang's expression softened a little. "In that case, the three of you will be responsible for cleaning the second grade's day class every day. Go back." After Yun Chujio and the others left, Teacher Lu asked in confusion, "Teacher Pang, why did you ask them to clean the second grade's day class? Why didn't you just ask them to clean the first grade star class?" Teacher Pang smiled. "These three children, especially Mo Fangchao and Xue Wuji, are too aggressive. They have to be polished. The second grade's day class is full of geniuses. It's not a bad thing to make them suffer a little." Teacher Lu nodded, but he felt uneasy. Mo Fangchao was a troublemaker. Would she cause any more trouble if she cleaned the second grade's day class? At this moment, Yun Chujio was holding a large kitchen knife and pressing it against Di Shanshan's neck. She said faintly, "Di Shanshan, is it? Are you bored? Are you jealous of my beauty because you love to report me so much? Tell me, do you want me to cut your face a few times, or do you want me to cut your neck a few times?" Di Shanshan said in horror, You beat up your classmate for no reason. Aren't you afraid of being expelled?" "Expelled? What a joke. I beat you up? This is clearly a fight, okay? If we were to fight, I would at most be considered self-defense." You're talking nonsense. I obviously didn't do it." Di Shanshan was both angry and afraid. "You didn't do it, but you provoked me. You glared at me. Since you have already provoked me, if I still don't do it, wouldn't I be too weak to be bullied?" Everyone was dumbfounded. What did she mean by "if you want to add insult to injury, there's no excuse for it"? This was it. This Mo Fangchao was clearly taking revenge on Di Shanshan for reporting her, and she even said something about fighting. Who was she kidding? "Luoxia, save me." Di Shanshan saw that Yun Chujio was unreasonable, so she quickly asked Shi Luoxia for help. Mo Fangchao, quickly release Shanshan, or I'll report it to the law enforcement office, Shi Luoxia said angrily. "Get lost. I haven't settled the score with you yet. If you want to be disfigured like her, you can continue to prance around," Yun Chujio said coldly. Shi Luoxia's face flushed red. She was furious, but she did not dare to say anything. She could tell that this Mo Fangchao was a daring person. If she continued to speak, she might really be in trouble. "Zhai Shanshan, did you see that? Your good sister is also a little bitch who only cares about herself. Now, only you can save yourself. I'll give you two choices. One is to let me scratch your face a few times, and the other is to take out 200,000 high-grade spirit stones to compensate for my mental loss. Which do you choose? Of course, you can also choose to have someone report me to the law enforcement office. I'm more than happy to do so," Yun Chujio said with a smile. Zhai Shanshan looked at Shi Luoxia and the other students for help. Those people avoided her gaze. What a joke. This Mo Fangchao was like a female bandit. Who would dare to confront her head-on? Zhai Shanshan's heart turned cold. She gritted her teeth. I'll give you the money. Let me go. Chapter 2248. Report to the police. After Yun Chujio received the spirit stones, she put away the big kitchen knife. She smiled and said, "That's right. There is nothing that 200,000 spirit stones cannot solve. If 200,000 is not enough, then 2 million. If 2 million is not enough, then 20 million. If you have the money, you are welcome to continue reporting me." Zhai Shanshan was so angry that she gritted her teeth, but she did not dare to say anything. She was afraid that Yun Chujio would use the same trick again and threaten her with a big kitchen knife. She was very puzzled. Her spiritual power was clearly at the 5th level of the Ling Xian realm. How could she be so easily restrained by this Mo Fangchao? She must have been careless and let her succeed. Yun Chujio glanced at the people who went to report her. She said faintly, "All of you listen well. This time, Zhai Shanshan took the blame for you, so I spared you. If you provoke me again, Zhai Shanshan will be a lesson to all of you." Those people looked angry, but no one dared to say anything. Yun Chujio saw that there was a spirit fruit tree next to her. She raised her hand and picked a few spirit fruits. "See? I picked spirit fruits again. Go and report it. Go, I'll wait for you here. I'll see who is so brave to report it." Those people looked at each other. Damn it, this Mo Fangchao was too arrogant. However, no one dared to move. What a joke. The report would result in a painless loss of points and cleaning the classroom. After coming out, this Mo Fangchao would extort 200,000 spirit stones from them. Only a fool would report it. Well, I remember that I still have something to do. I'm leaving. My stomach suddenly hurts. I'm leaving too. My stomach hurts too. I'm leaving too. In the end, only 11 Luoxia and Zhai Shanshan were left. Shi Luoxia walked up to Zhai Shanshan and pulled her away. "Shanshan, let's go too." Zhai Shanshan glared at her, waved her hand, and left angrily. Yun Chujio fanned herself with the large kitchen knife and said, "Teeth, a dog biting a dog's fur. How fun." Shi Luoxia gritted her teeth and chased after Zhai Shanshan. When the surrounding students saw Yun Chujio walking towards them with the large kitchen knife, they immediately dispersed. Yun Chujio turned to look at Jin Ji and said doubtfully, "I just wanted to ask about the class schedule for the 2nd grade's day class. It's convenient for us to clean the classroom. Why are they running?" Jin Ji touched her nose and thought to herself, "Is there anyone with a big kitchen knife who wants to ask about something? It would be strange if they didn't run." The 3 of them went straight to the classroom of the 2nd grade's day class. Coincidentally, there was a handyman cleaning the classroom. Yun Chujio went forward to ask about the class schedule. The learning tasks of the 2nd grade were obviously more important than those of the 1st grade. Therefore, apart from the morning, there was also a class schedule in the afternoon. However, it would basically be finished before Inshur. The handyman had already received the notice from the handyman's office, so he handed the jade token to Yun Chujio. After saying some things to take note of, he prepared to leave. Yun Chujio stopped him with a smile. "Wait, let's talk about a deal, okay?" The handyman was stunned. "Deal? What deal?" "If you can arrange the time, we'll hire you to continue cleaning this classroom. We'll give you 1,000 high-grade spirit stones a day. How about that?" "Really? There's no problem with the time. Even if I don't have time in the afternoon, I can still come over to clean this classroom in the evening. After all, this classroom will only be used the next morning." The handyman was both surprised and delighted. His monthly salary was only 50,000 high-grade spirit stones. It was great that he had an additional income. Chapter 2249. A certain Gio who was absent-minded. Of course it's true. Here, this 5,000 upper-grade spirit stones is the deposit. Yun Chujio straightforwardly transferred the 5,000 upper-grade spirit stones to the handyman. The handyman smiled so widely that he couldn't close his mouth. He repeatedly promised that he would clean it well. After leaving the classroom of the second grade's day class, Jinji said somewhat uneasily, "Little Gio, will this work? If it's discovered, the law enforcement department will definitely not let it go. In the future, we can just pretend. I want to see who still dares to report us. It's just the right time to spend some money. Let's go, it's almost time for dinner. I'll treat you to some delicious food." Yun Chujio's eyes flashed. It was endless fun to fight with others. Shui Wuji and Jinji naturally did not want to clean up the bullshit hygiene. They had the time to cultivate, alright? Therefore, they threw their worries to the back of their minds. Moreover, even if they were discovered, they could just clean up the classroom for a period of time. It didn't matter. The three of them swaggered into the dining hall. It was dinner time, so the dining hall was bustling with people. When they saw Yun Chujio and the other two enter, many people's eyes focused on the three of them. They couldn't help but have another discussion. Do you see that? It's those three people, especially that Mo Fangchao in the middle. She's simply a female bandit. Yesterday, she beat up Long-Face Zhang, and today, she beat up a freshman. I heard that she even bled. That's not all. In the afternoon, she even stole the spirit fruit from the academy and reported that the female student was extorted 200,000 spirit stones from her. Are you serious? That black fragrant grass is only at the first layer of the Ling Xian realm. Does she have the guts to do that? Does her family have a strong background? I heard that she is just a distant descendant of a third-grade family. She is relying on her 900 points and her fearless attitude. I think that she will hit the wall sooner or later. Yun Chujio turned a deaf ear to everyone's discussion. She ordered a large table full of dishes and enjoyed the meal. She had already figured it out. Although the students in Xingtian Academy weren't as highborn as those in the WA Stone Academy, they were all young ladies' bodies and maidservants' lives. They were all people who trampled on and flattered others. If they weren't a little more powerful, they would definitely be bullied to death. Moreover, in this academy, no one dared to openly take her life. As for those who played dirty, was it still the same sentence? They wanted to play dirty with someone who had full Black Lotus skills? They were courting death. Yun Chujio ate with satisfaction. As usual, she packed a lot of food before strolling out of the dining hall with Jinji and the others. After returning to the courtyard, this fellow was a little excited because Di Baiming had said that he would come to visit her tonight. Yun Chujio sat cross-legged on the bed to cultivate, but she had no way to calm down. She took out her speech book and flipped through it, but she also felt that it was meaningless. This fellow never dreamed that one day, she would be so distracted by a man that she couldn't even continue reading her favorite speech book. This fellow patted his own face. It's over, he's been poisoned by the pretty boy. When he saw him at night, he would definitely torture him. This fellow waited with his fingers, and finally, Di Baiming arrived in the middle of the night. Di Baiming wanted to enter as soon as possible, but the security of the Xingtian Academy was much tighter than that of the Mo family. Even if his spiritual power was high, he didn't dare to be careless. When Yun Chujio saw Di Baiming, she pounced on him without saying a word. Di Baiming was really shocked by Yun Chujio's fierceness, but he quickly turned the tables and pinned a certain pervert on the bed for a good beating. Chapter 2250. Why don't we cook cooked rice? A certain perverted 9 quickly changed from taking the initiative to being passive. Her mouth was red from being kissed, and water seemed to be dripping out of her eyes. It provoked Di Baiming so much that he wanted to tear the person in front of him into pieces and eat him. A certain grass in a certain perverted 9's dantian curled up all the leaves together. It knew that the intermittent storm was coming again. It could already feel a certain someone's deep resentment. Heavens, earth, heaven and earth, it didn't want to do that, alright? This was fate. It was all a trick of fate, it was all fate's arrangement. A certain perverted 9 was kissed until it was in a daze. As expected, It cursed a certain grass dozens of times before it said, "Prince Charming, didn't I say that I won't let you come? Why you still here?" Di Baiming silently chanted the clear heart mantra a few times before he suppressed the desire in his heart. He said in a hoarse voice, "I don't trust you. I have to see you safe and sound with my own eyes." A certain pervert's heart was soft. Although a gigolo was arrogant, he was a warm man to this fairy. Indeed, all men needed to be taught. This guy was secretly proud for a while before he finally realized and asked, "Male god, what happened to your voice? When you sent me the voice transmission talisman earlier, it was a little hoarse." "Nothing, I was just worried about you. It's much better now," Di Baiming said casually and reached out to touch Yun Chujia's hair. Yun Chujia's thick-skinned face turned red. "Is this gigolo playing with me?" Di Baiming saw that Yun Chujia's face was slightly red, which made her look even cuter. The desire that he suppressed with great difficulty resurfaced again. He could only look away and said dryly, "Tell me what happened. What exactly happened?" Yun Chujio told him everything. Then she said proudly, "Prince Charming, although I always encounter strange things with my freakish physique, I will be fine. Don't worry about me next time. If you get sick in a hurry, my heart will ache." Di Baiming's heart was provoked by this sentence of heartache. It was rare for a certain someone to swear, so he cursed Guai Chao in his heart a few hundred times. A certain someone couldn't hold it in anymore. He hugged a certain pervert and made love to her again until the two of them were almost out of breath. Only then did he end this suffocating kiss. When a certain pervert saw that the veins on Di Baiming's forehead were popping up, she really couldn't bear it. With a red face, she said, How about we just cook it? It shouldn't be a problem, right?" Although Di Baiming wanted to tear her apart and eat her right away, he still said against his heart, "It's fine. Just bear with it for a while and it'll pass. Your health is more important. There's still time in the future. There's no rush." She thought it made sense. If a monk didn't have sex in his entire life, wouldn't he be living well? If he could bear with it, then so be it. It would be bad if it affected the birth of a monkey. A certain Gio didn't know that his momentary disobedience had created a difficult life in the future. A few years later, when a certain Gio was unsatisfied and wanted to have sex, a certain Gio, who was playing with her son, boasted shamelessly, "Just endure it for a while and get lost." Of course, this was something for later. Since they couldn't have sex, the two of them started talking about serious matters. "Little Gio, you've offended a lot of people in just 2 days of school. You must be extremely careful in the future. How about I help you kill that Diao Xiaoyan?" A certain Gio's solution to the problem was simple and crude. If you wanted to touch his woman, just kill her. Chapter 2251. A certain someone who was looking for praise. Yun Chujio shook her head. "These little dregs aren't worth mentioning. I'm actually a little worried about the Yi family. A few days ago, I met that Yi Bingyu on the street. I thought she would get into a big fight, but I didn't expect her to be captivated by Brother Wuji's beauty." Di Baiming raised his eyebrows. "Captivated by that idiot Shui Wuji? Is she blind?" Yun Chujio. "Prince Charming, Brother Wuji is still very good-looking." Yun Chujio felt that the surroundings were a little cold, so she quickly said, "But he is still far from you." Di Baiming's expression became a little better, and then he asked, "And then?" Brother Wuji naturally wouldn't take a fancy to Yi Bingyu. After a few words with her, we left. I feel that Yi Bingyu will definitely not let this matter rest. Fortunately, fighting is prohibited in Tianluo City. As long as I don't leave Tianluo City, she won't be able to do anything to me. Di Baiming frowned. It seemed that the previous warning was too lenient. When he returned, it seemed that he still had to make a trip to the Yi family. Yun Chujio saw that Di Baiming was deep in thought, so she asked curiously, "Prince Charming, what are you thinking about?" "Nothing, I just thought of something." Di Baiming was actually feeling a little conflicted. On one hand, he wanted to tell her about what happened last time so that Yun Chujio could praise him. On the other hand, he felt a little embarrassed to say it out loud. Fortunately, Yun Chujio was smart. When she saw Di Baiming's appearance, She knew that something was wrong. She hugged Di Biming's arm. She asked coquettishly, "Prince Charming, are you hiding something from me? Tell me quickly, what is it?" Di Biming awkwardly told her about the Yi family and then said, "It seems that they only broke the door. They don't have a good memory. I will warn them again when I go back." Yun Chujia's face stiffened. Pretty boy, although your heart is good, don't you think that your warning is weird? Besides, you only wrote the word kill in Yi Bingyi's courtyard. Yi Bingyu might not have thought that it was because of the incident in the psychedelic forest. However, if she met that little bitch Yi Bingyu again in the future, she could use this incident to teach her a lesson. After Di Biming finished speaking, he was still pretending to be calm as he waited for Yun Chujio to praise him. In the end, there was no movement for a long time. He lowered his head and saw Yun Chujio rolling her eyes. No one knew what she was thinking. Di Biming's heart felt a little stifled. He coughed dryly. "What? Did I do something wrong?" Yun Chujio was so smart. When she heard Di Biming not say, "I," but "I," she knew that this tsundere was angry. "Idol, I am so touched. I am so touched that I am dumbfounded. You are too good to me." Yun Chujio hugged Di Biming and buried her head in his arms as she said coquettishly. Di Biming suddenly felt his heart light up, and he was a little embarrassed. It's nothing, I was just passing by." Yun Chujio secretly pursed her lips. What a tsundere! She obviously wanted her to praise him, but she still looked sullen. "Prince Charming, you don't have to go to the Yi family to threaten them anymore. If that Yi Bingyu dares to provoke me again, I'll teach her a lesson. If she doesn't know what's good for her, you can help me deal with her again." Yun Chujio still didn't know the details of her mother's expulsion, therefore, she didn't plan to touch the Yi family for the time being. "Alright, then I'll let them off for the time being. You should be quite stable in Xingtian Academy recently, so I plan to bring in Feng away to temper him. After his spiritual power improves, I'll let him come back to protect you. His spiritual power is too low now. He's simply a trash," Di Biming said with a frown. Chapter 2252 was just a little red-eyed Yun Chujio laughed dryly. "Prince Charming, the little madman is now at the first layer of the spiritual void tier. Speaking of which, he is much stronger than me. If he is useless, wouldn't I be even more useless?" Di Biming touched his nose. "He is different from you. When I broke the seal, a part of the golden light entered his body. Previously he only digested a part of it. He needs a lot of trials to break through again." Yun Chujio could not help but say sourly, "This little lunatic is really a fool. According to what you said, wouldn't Beauty Jinji cultivate very fast in the future?" Di Biming nodded and said, "Although Jinji did not absorb as much golden light as Feng, she will still cultivate faster than the average person. It seems that only Wu Ji and I are the most useless." Yun Chujio pouted and said with disappointment. Di Biming coughed dryly. "Actually, that idiot Shui Wuji also has a seal in his body. When I slapped him back then, his seal had already loosened. I believe that if there is a suitable opportunity, a part of the seal will be removed." Yun Chujio was stunned at first, then she opened her mouth and howled. Fortunately, Di Biming had activated the isolation array when he came in, otherwise, he would have lured everyone here. "After all this, I'm the most useless one. Why do all of you have a seal, but I don't? Sabas Obi, not only do I not have a seal, I also have 3 nails in my dantian. No, I still have one in my palm. I'm so miserable." Di Biming patted her back comfortingly. "Although you don't have a seal, you still have me." Yun Chujio was stunned. She raised her head and looked at Di Biming. Di Biming flipped over and pressed Yun Chujio under his body. He said slowly, "Little Jio, give me some more time. I promise that no one can hurt you in the future. You have to believe me." Yun Chujio felt that her face was on fire. Her tongue was a little tongue-tied. Of course I believe you. I just have some red-eyed disease." Di Biming. He initially thought that Yun Chujio was really feeling sorry for herself, so he said what he wanted to say to comfort her. In the end, this fellow was just jealous and did not hate her. This time, The atmosphere was a little awkward. A certain someone looked at Yun Chujia's beautiful face and thought of a good way to ease the awkwardness, which was to start a marriage if there was a disagreement. Yun Chujio was so dizzy from the kiss that she had long forgotten about the seal. After the intimacy, Yun Chujio lay in Di Baiming's arms and talked to Di Baiming casually. Little Jio, you still have class tomorrow. Go to sleep. When you fall asleep, I will leave. Di Baiming kissed Yun Chujia's forehead. Yun Chujio was reluctant to let Di Baiming leave, but she knew that there was no other way. She pouted, I can't sleep unless you sing me a lullaby. Ever since the seal was broken, Di Baiming had not sung a lullaby. However, he could not stand Yun Chujia's coquettishness. He could only grit his teeth and sing the lullaby. Only then did Yun Chujio fall asleep in Di Baiming's arms. Although Di Baiming was reluctant to leave, he saw that the sky was starting to brighten. If he did not leave now, it would be difficult for him to escape. He could only gently place Yun Chujio on the pillow and kiss her forehead. He gritted his teeth and got up to leave. After he left, Yun Chujio opened her eyes and bit her lips. 2 drops of tears rolled down. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.